The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened with unprecedented urgency. Ambassador Zekthara of the Vraxian Empire stood at the central podium, his forearms gesticulating wildly as he addressed the assembled representatives of 12 major civilizations. "The humans have gone too far," Zekthara's voice resonated through the crystalline chamber. "Their merchant vessels ignore our trade barriers. Their explorers trespass in restricted sectors. They refuse to acknowledge the natural order that has governed this galaxy for millennia." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembly. The humans had been a curiosity when first contact occurred 50 years ago. A young species from a backwater system, technologically inferior but surprisingly resilient. Now they had become what many considered a nuisance. "Their expansion is chaotic," added Senator Ilith from the Temporal Collective, her ethereal form shimmering with agitation. "They establish colonies without proper authorization, trade with species we've deemed primitive, and worst of all, they refuse to accept their designated caste in our hierarchy." The Korthani delegate, a massive insectoid creature, clicked its mandibles in approval. "We have been patient. Too patient. They number barely 8 billion across their few dozen worlds. We are trillions strong across thousands of systems. It is time to remind them of their place." Ambassador Thren of the peaceful Altarian Republic raised a tentative objection. "Perhaps diplomatic pressure has failed." Zekthara cut him off. "We've tried sanctions, blockades, even targeted strikes on their outer colonies. They adapt, rebuild, and continue their defiance. There is only one language left to speak." The vote was swift and decisive. 9 civilizations voted for military action. Only the Altarian Centauri Federation and the enigmatic Ethereal Syndicate abstained. The motion passed. A punitive expedition would be launched against the human home system, Earth, to demonstrate the consequences of defying galactic order. "A single battle group should suffice," Zekthara declared. 50 vessels of the line supported by fighter squadrons and orbital bombardment platforms. We'll neutralize their pathetic space defense force and impose proper governance. The humans will learn their place. 6 months later, the expeditionary force approached the Sol system with confidence bordering on arrogance. Admiral Kratz of the Vraxian Imperial Navy had commanded dozens of such operations. Primitive species always folded quickly when faced with overwhelming force, but as his fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the system, warning klaxons immediately began wailing across every bridge. "Admiral," his sensor officer's voice cracked with disbelief. "I'm reading." Thousands of contacts, massive energy signatures throughout the system. The main display flickered to life and a collective gasp echoed through the command center. The Sol system was no longer the sparsely defended backwater they remembered. It had been transformed into a fortress. Earth itself was surrounded by orbital defense platforms that dwarfed anything in the Galactic Council's arsenal. Massive ring structures encircled the planet, bristling with weapons that registered as city killers on their sensors. The moon had been hollowed out and converted into a fortress shipyard, its surface dotted with launch bays disgorging wave after wave of sleek, predatory-looking vessels. Mars glowed with the heat of 1,000 foundries, its orbital space crowded with construction yards building ships at an impossible rate. The asteroid belt had been transformed into a defensive matrix of armed mining platforms and mobile fortresses. But most terrifying of all was what emerged from the depths of space itself, a human armada beyond comprehension. Thousands of warships, each one unique in design yet unmistakably lethal, they moved with a coordination that spoke of years of preparation and an understanding of warfare that chilled the blood. "How?" Admiral Kratz whispered. "How did they build all this?" "Our intelligence said they had barely 200 ships total across all their worlds." His answer came in the form of a transmission from the lead human vessel, a massive dreadnought that had seemingly appeared from nowhere, its hull scarred but unbroken. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Terran Defense Fleet." A calm human voice filled the bridge. "You have entered sovereign human space with hostile intent. You have exactly 10 minutes to withdraw or we will consider your presence an act of war." "Preposterous," Kratz sputtered, but his voice lacked conviction. His sensors were telling him impossible things. The human fleet outnumbered his own by more than 10 to 1, and their energy readings suggested weapons technology that shouldn't exist. "How?" he transmitted back. "How did you build this?" There was a pause. Then Admiral Chen's voice returned, tinged with what might have been amusement. "Did you really think we'd remain idle after your first punitive expedition to Alpha Centauri? That we wouldn't learn from watching our colony burned? That we'd simply accept being conquered? The truth hit Kratz like a physical blow. The humans hadn't been passively expanding and trading. They'd been preparing. Every merchant vessel that ignored trade barriers had been gathering intelligence. Every diplomatic mission that seemed to fail had been buying time. Every colony that rebuilt after attack had been fortified and weaponized. You see, Chen continued, humans have a saying, the best defense is a good offense. But we have another one you might find more relevant. Don't start a fight you can't finish. The human armada began to move, not in the rigid formations of the Galactic Council fleets, but in fluid organic patterns that spoke of tactical innovation. Each ship was clearly crewed by beings who understood that this wasn't just another policing action. This was a fight for survival, and humans, as the galaxy was about to learn, were exceptionally good at surviving. As alarms blared and his fleet scrambled to form defensive positions, Admiral Kratz realized with dawning horror that the Galactic Council hadn't voted to suppress an upstart species. They had voted to awaken a sleeping giant, and now that giant was very, very angry. The last transmission from the Sol system reached the Galactic Council 3 days later. It was brief, transmitted on all frequencies and signed by Admiral Chen. The Terran Federation formally rejects the authority of the Galactic Council and claims sovereignty over all human-settled worlds. Any further acts of aggression will be met with overwhelming force. You wanted to remind us of our place in the galaxy. Consider this our response. We'll make our own place, thank you very much. When the emergency session reconvened, the chamber was notably quieter. The Altarian ambassador spoke for many when he observed, perhaps we should have tried talking to them more. The vote for a larger military response failed spectacularly. 12 civilizations suddenly discovered they had pressing domestic concerns that required immediate attention.